In your speech there, you said, Ashraf city is a flower in the desert. Ashraf city is a shelter in the storm. What do you mean by that?
I must say that I was extremely impressed when I visited Ashraf 1. And it was a desert. Sand and rocks. You can imagine, no? Sand and rocks. When I went there, there was a flourishing city with flowers, with trees, with workhouses, hospital, mosque, a philharmonic orchestra, a big, beautiful swimming pool, sports fields. I couldn't believe my eyes. But how have you done this? I mean, who can transform a desert in this? I mean, and then I realized the PMOI were a very rare and remarkable organization, no? So I remember this visit also with a lot of emotion because I could witness the capacity of the PMOI of organization and skill and how they made their own bread, their own drinks. Also they could find water, and they provided drinking water to the Arab villages around. So, by the way, they provided medical assistance to the Arabs around. I had a meeting in Ashraf 1 with 60 or 70 Arab leaders of the Dilaya province, and they loved the PMOI. They were so grateful. So Ashraf 1 was really a paradise. But, of course, it was completely destroyed by the regime. And what the PMOI did in Ashraf 1 and what they have done in Ashraf 3, which is also extraordinary. One day we must do in Iran, you know, in Iran as a country. This is our goal, and of course, this is our dream.
And how, knowing that you've been a harsh supporter of the 10-point plan of Madame Rajavi and what you said about Ashraf, how do you see the future of our country, of Iran?
Well, the Iranian regime, it's a dictatorship, but it has also some features that make the regime unique, no? Because the level of malignancy, of cruelty, the level of contempt for human dignity and human life of this regime is unique in the world. So they've put fire in the whole of Middle East with tens of thousands of innocent victims just to hold their power and to achieve their political interests. So this is a criminal regime. It's made by criminals. So apart from the corruption, because they have looted the wealth of Iran in a way that is a scandal, no? So how do I see the future? There is a formula to have regime change in Iran. And this formula has two parts. One essential is the people of Iran and the resistance units of the resistance inside Iran. There are thousands of them. And they are working inside the country, and they are ready to change regime in Iran. Also, the PMOI a plan to transform this dictatorship in a democracy. No? That's one factor. And then there is another factor from outside, which is the Western democracies and their capacity to put such pressure on the regime, diplomatically, politically, financially, also putting a lot of pressure on them in international bodies in relation to the violation of human rights and rights of women. So such a pressure from outside, of course, cancellation of all diplomatic relations and trade, so to isolate them, to push them against the wall, by all these means, sanctions, and also supporting and helping the Iranian resistance. If Iran would be a country with a democracy, with friendly relations with the West, with no nuclear weapons, with rule of law, with a flourishing and dynamic economy, that would change the geopolitics, not only of Middle East, of course, of the whole world. So, if these two factors, from outside the pressure of Western democracies, from inside the bravery and the resolution of the Iranian people, and of the PMOI, these two factors could crush the mullahs. Unfortunately, Western democracies, until now, they have not understood this scheme I've just described. But don't worry, we'll convince them.
On that, in the conference in Berlin, you said that the NCRI and the PMOI are the most powerful tools of the Iranian people to make this change,
yes,
and the only one able to lead this change. Why you say that so explicitly?
Because I've been working on Iranian issues for 22 years now, in close collaboration with my friends of the PMOI and Mrs. Rajavi, and frankly, by their number, by their wisdom, by their experience, by their skills, by their level of knowledge, by their patriotism, there is no other group that can be compared to the PMOI. So only they can really lead the change to democracy. And here I want to stress two things. In the foreign ministries of Western countries, there is I should say, as they say, a mantra, something that is repeated once and again. Oh, if the Iranian regime would be toppled down, if it would fall, we will have chaos in Iran. We will have another Libya. We will have another Iraq. We will have another Yemen, another Somalia. No, this is nonsense. How can these people that are supposed to be experts in foreign relations and in knowing other countries can say that Iran has nothing to do with Somalia and Libya and Iraq? It's completely different society, completely different mentality. So, and of course, there is the organization of the PMOI and the NCRI and the leadership of Mrs. Rajavi that are perfectly able to lead a transition to democracy, because there will be no chaos. So that's a lie. That's completely not understanding the situation of Iran. That's one thing. And the second thing is that what the PMOI want, and all the Western politicians that support them, is not to replace Ali Khamenei by Mrs. Rajavi. Of course not. We want a democracy, free elections, rule of law, equality between men and women, free market economy, freedom of religion, civilization, because the Iranian mullahs regime is a barbaric regime, you know. And once this democracy is reestablished, then we will have free elections, and the Iranian people will choose its government. So once Iran would be a democracy, the Iranian people would freely elect their government.
You talked about the so-called experts and scholars who are working there for the Iranian regime, and you said that they are related somehow to the Iranian regime doing the campaign of demonization against the PMI. How could you relate these people? How are they related to the Iranian regime?
Well, as you know, as we all know, an essential part of modern politics is communication, no? And it's very up to date to use the word narrative, no? Voters vote according to a set of values, of beliefs, of emotions. It is known by many studies, and there are many books about it, that the voter votes more by emotional reasons than by rational analysis. You know? So the regime that knows that spends huge amounts of money in propaganda. And this propaganda has several parts. No? One part that they have dedicated a lot of effort and huge sums of money is to demonize the PMOI and the NCRI. So they have fabricated some lies on the organization, and they repeat these lies thanks to a network of journalists and people from academia, no? Politicians. And this they have done for 40 years, and of course it has an effect, you know. And we are fighting against it, but of course they have a very powerful machine of propaganda fed by thousands of millions of euros or dollars that they steal from the Iranian people. No? So this network is very powerful, it's very large, and it's difficult to fight, but we do.
Now going back to your experience with the Iranian resistance, for all of us, the hardest moment, of course, in these 20 plus years was the day you were attacked. But I would like also to ask you, tell us about the hardest moment in these 20 years and the happiest one.
Probably the happiest was when we were delisted. That was wonderful. So the happiest moment was the delisting, no? The hardest moment was probably the first attack to Ashraf I, no? Because we were so happy because of the success that this is still more painful, you know? And when we saw the picture of all these people being beaten, being killed, being shot, that was a moment of very deep pain. No? So perhaps the happiest is the delisting, and the most painful was the first attack to Ashraf 1.
2009, yes. We are at the end of the interview. I would like you to speak right now directly to the Iranian people. Give them a message. What do you want to tell them?
Like the last minute in electoral debate. But what I would say to my dear friends in Iran, these millions of women, men, young people that fight every day to survive in an environment so cruel, so hostile, so hard, and they suffer lack of the most elementary things a human being has right to, human dignity, welfare, good conditions of life, to be respected as a human being. You don't have all this. You suffer oppression, and the smallest sign of opposition can mean execution or torture. So our hearts are with you, and keep hope, keep faith. This will change. We will help you to change this situation, this horrible situation. Democracy will arrive, freedom will arrive, prosperity will arrive to Iran, because you have many friends in Europe, in America, that are working for you. Of course, perhaps we never do enough. We would like to do more, but believe us that we do our best, as much as we can. And some of us have paid a high price for this support we give to you. Don't worry. Things will become better, and one day I hope to be in your beautiful country and shake your hands and celebrate with you that Iran is again a place where people can make their own lives and can be happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias. We hope and we wish that you will be fully recovered very soon. That's our first wish. And thank you very much for this opportunity and for your time. And also I hope and we wish in the INTV that we'll have an interview with you very soon in our studios in Tehran.
Well, that would be wonderful.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you for your time. Thank you.